Hi there, Jerry Deschane with the League of Municipalities. So I was reading the December copy of the Municipality magazine, and I flipped it open to the back page where we talk about comings and goings and retirements and new hires. And I see a column by the board president, by League President Todd Schmidt, on humility. Todd, what are we talking about here? Why did you choose to make this sort of your presidential coming out statement? Humility.
Presidential coming out. Nice, Jerry. Oh, look, your mug matches your background. That's beautiful.
Hey, it's the holiday season.
Very nice. Well, first of all, quick introduction. Hi, everyone. I'm Todd Schmidt. I'm the village administrator in Waunakee, and really very proud and honored to be the league president this year. And it was more than a year ago, I think Jerry asked me with the expectation that I would be moving through the ranks with the league and becoming president this year. Like, what did I want to, what was important to me? What did I hope to achieve, or was there a platform of some sort, or what have you? And I knew what my answer was, and that was to talk about over the course of this year, I want to have an ongoing conversation promoting the importance of humility in our role as municipal government leaders, with the thought that if humility is a part of our ongoing governmental process, that good things will automatically come from our processes as a result. Now, certainly there's a lot more to doing good stuff in government, but this is like one ingredient that I think could almost help all things we do. And
well, in fact, Todd, in your this brief article that I hope everybody reads, by the way, you make this statement that I thought was a little gutsy, that you said humility is the one leadership quality that will always result in the best results. Has this been something that has this been a value that you've always held in your professional career? How do you make such a gutsy statement, Todd?
Yeah, it's evolved over time, and I've been in municipal government leadership management for 22 years now, and I've got a number of good stories. I'll share one story, and then Jerry, be ready, because I'm going to call on you to share a story too. So here's one little story.
I've got a story about humility. It's working with Todd. Oh, sorry.
Nice.
Back on topic.
Wearing a Santa hat, by the way, helps with humility. Here's in the background of Waunakee as well. But when I was working for another community, this is probably 15 years ago, maybe, we were in the process of creating a stormwater utility. Now, many of our communities have gone through that process, and if anybody who has can recall the process of creating the utility, you know that it came with some detractors, some dissenters, and some people who were even angry about it, who felt like it was a money game, a shifting one pocket to the other, creating a tax that is labeled as something else in disguise. So it was, the whole same deal, same process. And in this process, a particular resident basically had lambasted me publicly. And this person hadn't been a fan of local government. In fact, had written columns in the local paper calling for my removal for an array of different reasons. Anyway, this person was not a fan. And this person was one of a few people at the public hearing when we went to create the stormwater utility. In the public hearing, out of the gate, there was a presentation, and I was involved in presenting the utility and the reasons for it. And I don't remember the exact words I said, but it was something along the lines of, I looked at the audience, I looked at the camera, and I said, we have done, residents of community X, we have done everything we possibly can to not go down this route. And it is really heavy upon me as administrator to be standing here delivering this really bitter pill that some of you are feeling. And then I spent time explaining how difficult a decision this was. We didn't just come out there in this presentation and say, here's what we're doing, here's why it's time to accept it, everyone. We talked about how hard this was for us as local government leaders here in our community to put this into place. We talked about how we felt like we were, in a lot of ways, we were trapped due to unfunded mandates that have been passed down. And I explained why we were feeling so constrained and how difficult I bore my soul.
Mm-hmm.
And this particular resident didn't speak at that session, but the next day I was in my office, and the entrance to the city hall was right around the corner from my office. And this person came in. I saw him come in. He passed my door, and I kind of like went to pretend like I was busy doing something else. And then I see this hand come around and knock on the door, and he came in. This was like maybe 9 o'clock the next morning. Knocked on my door, and he came in, and a couple steps into my office, he started crying. And then he came in and he said, "Can I sit down?" And he sat down, and he kind of tried to collect himself. And he said, "I am so sorry how I've treated you. And what you showed me yesterday is that you really care about us. I might not like this extra tax or this extra fee, but I learned in that meeting that you cared about who I was." And that changed how I felt about my work. And that proved to me how humility could be a big part of how it can work so well in the tasks we do, even when those tasks stink and are bad. And my cat wants to get in here, but in the midst of difficult decisions that don't always make for things that make people feel good. So that's one of multiple examples. And in my article I put in there, Jerry, I'm really calling for my fellow leaders in local government to share their similar stories. So over the course of these 12 months, I hope to have people like me, like you, like mayors and presidents, council members, board members, and managers across our state, kind of be brave enough to share those kind of touching, probably emotional stories that have come to define how humility can work in our work.
Wow, thank you. And I want to keep this brief, so I won't share all the dirty details of my story. But for over 20 years, I've led school boards, local school boards, both public and charter. And a few months ago, I had a sort of a reminder that I don't know everything, even though I've been doing this a long time. We had a presentation coming up, and I knew the staff of the school were going to want slides and graphs and charts and 300-page reports. And I just sort of beat it into their heads that nope, the board doesn't want all that information. Then we came to the board meeting day, and the staff put on their little 3-minute presentation. And all of my board members sat back and said, wait a minute, we need far more than this in order to decide. And they started chewing on the staff. And I had to put my hand up kind of meekly and say, oops, this is me. And what I learned from that is that you always need to be aware of the people on your board with you, and just trust people's judgments other than your own, and always be open to people's judgments other than your own. So it was a great reminder. So
yeah. The other thing maybe if you could touch on real quick, Jerry, maybe this will be another video some other day, but you had shared with me before that you went through some pretty intense training on servant leadership.
Oh, absolutely.
Which ties very closely in with humility. Do you have a second to talk about how that experience changed your what your knowledge around this subject?
And real briefly, it's more of the same, Todd. It's really approaching everything you do as a leader from the perspective of you're not doing this for yourself. You're doing this for the people that you lead, and that your mindset always needs to start from there. And if you've been in leadership positions, as a lot of us on this video have been, you forget that way too easily. You start trusting your own instincts. But the servant leadership course that I sat through, ironically, I didn't graduate because I missed one class. So I got an incomplete in that course, which explains a lot of things, I think. But it really sort of reset my mind that it's not about what I think, especially in local government. It's about what your citizens think. It's about what your fellow board members think. But well, we're kind of running out of time,
Yeah.
Todd. So how do you want to leave this?
Well, I think I want to leave it as really that invitation to our membership, frankly, to league staff as well. An invitation to engage on this topic over the course of the next year, and an open invitation for people to decide to want to share their story with us in some way. And maybe that's somebody to write a brief article in the news, in the magazine, or to do a video like this, or to do a maybe just a post on the Facebook page for the league. I'm also looking to maybe have a few experts in the field come along with us, perhaps some sessions at a conference or even discussions like this. So just be prepared to hear this. It's going to be beaten upon folks over the course of the next month. And my goal is that everyone who knows of the league and follows the league just a little bit will find it impossible to get away from this subject over the course of the next 12 months, and maybe plant something within their psyche over that course of time.
All right. Thanks very much, League President and Waunakee Village Administrator Todd Schmidt. I'm Jerry Deschane with the League of Municipalities. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks, everyone.